Using the strategy that I'm about to go over in this video, I've been able to generate thousands of leads per month for the last 7 years, all through Facebook and Instagram Messenger. My name is Zach. I've been a software developer for the last 12 years. I've also been running a marketing agency named Braxter for the last 7, in which we've been able to generate over $13 million in revenue for our clients. Now, this is just a big disclaimer right up front. I'm not trying to exaggerate my results. I'll try to be as transparent as I can possibly be. I primarily use this strategy with businesses in the home industry that are selling high ticket products. But when I had opportunities to work with businesses in other niches, the strategy still worked, but feel free to take what I'm about to say with a big grain of salt. So the first step has to do with social proof. So if you already have a basic following on Instagram and Facebook, or whichever of the two that you're gonna be working on, then this step, you don't really have to do it. But if you're just getting started and you have 0 on both, this is going to be useful for you, and it doesn't cost very much money. So this is in order to prepare our brands for the ads that we're going to run to get the leads. Our goal is to build up the follower counts just so that things don't seem like they're empty and like nobody has any interest in the company. That's not going to be very appealing for people that you're running ads to, and then they double check, what is this company doing online? What's their reputation? And then there's just nothing there. There's nothing bad, there's just nothing. So the first step is going to be to post some content on both the Facebook and the Instagram pages. If you just opened your Instagram page, you're going to have to space this out over the coming days. Otherwise, you can get rate limited or even have your account blocked for doing too much on the first day or the first 2 days. So if you just open the Instagram account, I would post once a day. And yes, that means this could take more than a few days, but it's the best thing for your account. For Facebook, I haven't run into any issues with posting too much too quickly, but I would just be cautious if you start getting any alerts that your activity is suspicious or something, just be careful. So we want to get to around 9 to 12 posts on Instagram because it's going to make your account look more filled out, you know, the grid. And on Facebook, we could probably get by with less, but if we're making the post for Instagram, we might as well get to the same number on Facebook as well. So the post should not be low quality, but don't think that that means that you have to spend a ton of time on it. It has to be really high production value or look like a graphic designer made it. You just want something presentable that people can see, oh, this is a real company. They do put some effort in. They have a heartbeat online. And just a reminder, the reason we care about making these posts is so that when people are clicking through on your messenger ads that we're going to make in the next step, they have a tendency to check in other places. They're going to look around your profile, maybe see the types of things that you've posted, just to see, do they have any following at all? What type of content do they make? Do you have good taste? Is your content helpful to me? Is there any reason at all that I should care about this? And so after the content's filled out, we're going to create 2 different meta ad campaigns, unless you just want to work on one platform at a time. So we're going to make a Facebook page-like campaign and an Instagram follow campaign. Now you might think, well, isn't this kind of like then buying followers if I'm going to run a campaign? Yes and no at the same time. It does achieve the result of getting a high follower count very quickly and for a low cost, but it's not going to be as cheap as buying followers. The dangerous problem with buying followers is that that is not approved by Facebook. Those are not necessarily real users. And so you could get in trouble. You could have your Instagram locked and then just get locked out of the platform entirely. And that's a worse position to be in, just to save a few dollars. Whereas the ad types that I'm talking about, this is fully approved by Facebook. These are real users. They might not be the highest paying users or the highest engaging users, but they're people that Facebook has identified are really into following pages, liking pages, and so on. So you might as well take advantage of that just to generate some social proof in that people are following you. Because as much as everybody likes to say that followers don't matter, they seem to make a lot of decisions and actions based off of follower counts. Just like if we picture in our heads, you can picture it with me, one company has 10,000 followers and another company has 200 followers. One is going to seem a little bit more established than the other. And that's without even checking the reviews, just an initial impression. So to create the Facebook page-like campaign, you can select it by choosing the engagement objective and then choosing Facebook page as the conversion location. For the Instagram follow campaign, you can select this by choosing the traffic objective and then choosing Instagram profile as the conversion location. They're slightly different, so just make sure you go to the right place. So to actually create the ad creative that is going to get people to follow or like, you want to just pick something interesting or nice about your product. For example, if I was going to run one around my content, as I have before, I would have one of the images or videos be a clip of me teaching something, or an image with maybe a quote from me or giving a caption of something that I said. And the copy would be something very simple, like, if you want to learn more about marketing, follow my page or like my page. Obviously, swap marketing for whatever your topic or your product is. It could be something as simple as, if you like this cup, or if you think this cup is cool, like our page. And you'd be surprised how many people will actually go ahead and like the page. Now, don't get confused. These people are probably not going to buy your product, but that's not why we're trying to get them. We're trying to just get them to like the page or follow it. Now, in terms of the targeting, you're just going to leave it open and you're going to target worldwide. Because of this, the followers are going to be very, very cheap compared to if you tried targeting like the big 5 countries that have the highest GDP. The more experienced among you are probably going to realize that, wait a second, if I get a bunch of followers that are not that high quality, isn't that going to mess up my organic reach? Well, unfortunately on Facebook, there is essentially no organic reach. On Instagram, if you're a bit more concerned with this, then maybe this isn't something that you want to do. But if you already have a following, you don't really need to do this step anyways of running the follow campaign. So if you're worried about it messing up your algorithm for your account, then maybe just skip it. But I would argue that if you don't have that big of a following and you don't have time anytime soon to worry about organic, then it's probably not really worth worrying about. And it's not going to be completely unrelated audience. It's just going to be lower CPM audience, because still those people were interested enough to like the page based on the thing that you showed them, and you didn't show them something unrelated to your topic. But again, if you are worried about your algorithm, I totally get it. I wouldn't worry about it on Facebook. It does make sense if you're worried about growing organically on Instagram long term, but if you just grow to 1,000 followers using this paid method and then choose to do a really comprehensive organic strategy afterwards, I think you'll be fine. Of course, it could be harder work because now you're being showed to not your ideal audience right off the bat. So you have to make that decision in what's best as well as what's practical for you. Maybe you could make another account later or use this account just for running your ads. You can figure that out yourself. And so again, just to remind you, you want to make the content and post it on the profiles before you run these Facebook page like or Instagram follow campaigns, because that's going to increase the rate of people following and liking. Now we're on to the next step where we're going to actually create the Facebook and Instagram Messenger campaigns. One really important detail is that there are 2 different objectives that will seem really similar in the Ads Manager. You need to pick sales as the campaign objective and then choose Messenger as the conversion location. The Ads Manager also has Messenger inside of the engagement objective, and these leads are going to be much cheaper. But the big difference is they are a totally different type of people. They are more the type of people who are just into sending messages. They are not necessarily buyers of your type of product. So unless you just want to have conversations all day with a bunch of people that are probably unlikely to buy, just don't waste your time. As far as the targeting type, unless you really know what you're doing with interest targeting and you've had some good success with it in the past, I would just go with open targeting, meaning not adding any targeting options except for setting the correct country. You do want to specify the right country and the right language, but anything outside of that, just leave it. Facebook is actually really good on seeing the creative that you made and then matching it up with the right kind of people. But where I don't trust Facebook is making the actual creative or making creative decisions like adjusting things or adding a banner to the top of the ad or modifying the text, adding music, those types of things, or picking thumbnails, any of that, I don't let them do it for me. You'll also see when you're creating the creative, dynamic creative or dynamic text options. I don't choose that, not because it doesn't work, it's just that it typically is very hard to actually get the dashboard to load it properly afterwards. So let's say you add in one image with 5 variations of primary text options. and then you want to look a week later which one of these text options generated the most leads, it looks like it's supposed to work, but the majority of the time it just doesn't load anything. Now this could probably just be a me issue, but it's happened on multiple ad accounts that I've worked with. So I just don't waste my time with it. If I'm trying to compare different ad creatives, I create a different ad set to keep them separate. Some might call this an old way of doing it, but it has continued to work for me, so I just keep doing it. If the dynamic options were working better for me, then I would use them happily. As far as the placements, since we're just using Facebook and or Instagram, I would just stick with those two and any options that Facebook will let you pick at the time for them. As far as the actual creative itself, I've used both images as well as videos. I don't actually use carousels. I have never been able to get them to work, though I know of many people who have got them to work, but I just use what has worked for me. The caption or primary text field, it doesn't need to be long, but it needs to be relevant. You just want to highlight a key aspect of the product, something that would be most appealing to the person that you're trying to show it to. You don't need to tell them everything about it. The goal of the ad is not to get them to buy the product right from the ad. You're just trying to get them to take the next step. And in this case of contacting your sales team, it's purely that. Just contact us and start having a conversation with us, ask more questions. So you want to stimulate some curiosity, just get the conversation going. You don't have to sell them everything right away. If you try to get them to think too much in advance, you're just gonna get less leads, and you don't wanna do that until you have such a high lead volume that you need to throttle it back down to just the most interested people. So we want relevant interest. So if we just think of the frame of mind that the person is coming into this with, the first thing that they're going to see is gonna be the graphic element. And then if they're interested enough, they're going to look at some of the text, whether it's the headline or the primary text to read more. So you're just going to use the graphic to stop them from scrolling, get them interested. We're not trying to clickbait them. We're just trying to get anybody who would be interested to stop on it. And then the copy is going to take them to the next step. By the way, if you like this kind of content, it seems like we might be a good fit. So you should probably subscribe. Moving on. So you've been running your ads. It's been a few days now. Maybe the results aren't exactly where you like, or maybe they're working great, but either way, we're now to the step of optimization. Now, one thing that is incredibly common with Facebook Messenger ads, and it's really annoying, is that people seem to click on them by accident all the time and then get really angry at you for making them click on it and then them messaging you and then you responding to their interest. And while this could get very frustrating and it would be very easy to just quickly say, oh, Facebook is scamming me or something is a scam about this, don't jump to that frame of mind. It's not a scam. It's just that there are some people who are not that technically literate, and so they accidentally click on things. Sometimes they say, oh, I just tried to zoom in on the picture and then it sent me a message. So it's just usually just an accident. So just be polite, don't bother them, and just move on to the next person. But it happens maybe once a day. Let's say out of 100 leads, you'll get one or two of those types of people who did it by accident. Sometimes it will be multiple people like that in a row, but it happens. Now, I know I didn't discuss the budget in the last step, but that's because I'm going to go over it here because it's something that you need to optimize and keep adjusting as you go. But typically, you want to make sure that each piece of ad creative is getting at least $10 a day. Now, the reason for that is because each piece needs to get enough budget in order to even really assess it properly, because you want to find out based on the average over time how the ad performs. Because there can be really bad days and really good days, and you don't want to make any decisions based off of just those outlier days. And an average CPM cost, meaning like the cost per 1,000 impressions, is around $5 to $7. So with that in mind, then at least it's going to get you around 2,000 impressions a day. And then over the course of the month, it adds up to be a good enough number that you can probably make some calls on it. In terms of time frame, you typically want to wait at least a few days before you make adjustments. Around 2 to 3 days would be a good time frame. Now, if it's your very first week of ads, I'd probably just let it run for the first week without messing with it too much. Just make sure that you can afford the budget that you're setting and that you're comfortable with running with this for a while, because it takes some time to get all of the factors right. Also, one other thing that I forgot to include in my notes is that when Facebook starts charging you, they start charging you in very small amounts, like even $1, $2, $3. So if you see many charges on your credit card right away, just keep that in mind. Basically, they scale it up just to keep their risk low. So like as you spend $10, they might bill you the full $10 the same day. And then as the spend keeps increasing and they realize that you will pay all of your bills, then they start spacing things out to be more normal. Now for the adjustments, you're going to want to keep iterating and cycling through the different options of video, image, and text. But if you remember what I said about getting each creative enough budget, that means that you don't want to test too many things at the same time. It's totally fine to test out everything, but if you are running 100 tests at once, it's going to get very expensive if you are getting enough traffic to each one. So just keep that in mind. Don't burn all of your budget just in the learning process. You can just take a little bit longer, and then that will get you the data that you need without burning things down. Now, what should you do if you see that your CPM, or your cost per impressions, is getting really high? Well, it can mean a few different things, so you want to just pay attention and try and figure it out. First, it could mean that your ad is just low quality and Meta is actually showing it to less and less people, because if it's low quality, people don't like it, which means they're going to spend less time on Meta, on either Facebook or Instagram, and they don't want that, so they're going to penalize you by showing it to less people. If this is happening, then obviously you have to improve your creative and make it good enough that people actually want to click through and engage with the ad. The great thing about Messenger ads is that no matter what, it is an ad that does not take them off of a Meta platform. And so Facebook really likes to show these to people. They typically get a better CPM than a similar ad that would take them to your landing page, for example. Now that can be great for getting more highly qualified leads, but if you're just getting started with this lead generation, I think Messenger ads are a great way to go, because you can also get into a conversation with the customer and figure out any details that you don't know yet about the buying process, what needs to happen. And it gets you really good access to them through Facebook and Instagram. Another thing that it could mean is that your ad is actually being shown to the wrong audience. So in that case, you might want to experiment with interest targeting, or you might want to try just duplicating the ad set, and then Facebook is going to show it to a different slice of the same overall audience pie. And that's going to give you another opportunity to have a start. Because if they showed it to a slice of people and you just got off to a bad start, they're just going to continue to go on that bad track, and you don't want that. So just give it a fresh attempt. Another thing that a high CPM could mean is that your ads are actually being shown to a really high priority audience that everybody really wants to be in front of in your market, and it just costs that much to get them. In this case, you either have to figure out how to make better creative that people want to engage with more, so that Facebook will prefer your content and then show it to more people, lowering your costs. Or you can just keep going how you are, and you should calculate the cost that it takes you to acquire customers. This way you can make sure that everything is going to be profitable even if you're paying these higher than normal prices. This is typically going to be the case if you are working with a pretty high ticket product. For example, if you're selling something for $1,000 and you have good margins, let's assume, but it costs you $100 to get a customer, well, it still works out, right? Now, maybe your cost per lead isn't the best, but the cost per customer, as long as that part works out, everything's fine in the end. This is a money printing machine at that point. So just some of my final points. Don't make any rash decisions. Just keep optimizing as you go. There are no perfect ads or targeting. And even when you think you've got something working perfectly, it stops working. But all in all, honestly, this can be an amazing lead source. Once you get it working, it's just working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bringing in leads for your business all the time. But, and this is a big but, if the sales team that then receives these leads are inexperienced or not qualified, don't answer quickly, can't push the sale forward, then there is no point to how good the leads are or how many of them that you get. This just gets them in the door asking for more information about your business. It is the job of the sales team to close the sale. These are messenger leads and they're not going to close themselves. But the open rates are very high, so this is a great opportunity, a great marketing channel to get leads from. Well guys, I hope this was helpful to you, but that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.